Welcome to the strange reality of modern finance, where earning six figures doesn't guarantee wealth anymore. Bob is a successful professional, yet he finds himself wondering where all his hard-earned money disappears at the end of every single month. For many people, reaching the $100,000 mark is the ultimate dream of financial success. However, for Bob, this milestone has become a source of stress rather than the freedom he expected when he started his career. It is a phenomenon known as being income rich but pocket poor, and it is affecting millions of Americans today. Bob represents a growing class of workers who make great money but have zero savings to show for it. The pressure to maintain a certain lifestyle often leads to what experts call lifestyle creep. Bob feels he must look the part of a high earner, which means buying things he doesn't need to impress people he doesn't even like. Between the high cost of housing, car payments, and various subscriptions, Bob's budget is stretched to the absolute limit. One small financial emergency could cause his entire world to come crashing down in an instant of total chaos. It is not just the big purchases that drain Bob's bank account, it is the daily habits that add up over time. Those small, seemingly insignificant luxury choices are slowly eating away at his potential to build long-term generational wealth. Looking wealthy and actually being wealthy are two very different things in the eyes of the bank. Bob realizes that his fancy title and high salary are just a mask covering a very fragile and unstable financial foundation. He is running faster and faster on the corporate treadmill, but he isn't moving forward at all. The more money Bob makes, the more he spends, creating a cycle of professional exhaustion that seems to have no end in sight. If Bob lost his job tomorrow, he would be in serious trouble within just a few weeks of unemployment. Despite his high income, his emergency fund is non-existent, leaving him vulnerable to the unpredictable nature of the modern economy. In this video, we are going to break down exactly why Bob and many others stay broke despite their high salaries. More importantly, we will show you the exact steps to stop spending and start investing for your future. Everything starts with the excitement of a promotion or a significant year-end bonus. Bob thinks this extra money will finally be the solution to all his problems, but history suggests that he is about to make a big mistake. Instead of putting that bonus into a savings account, Bob immediately heads to the store to upgrade his lifestyle. He tells himself that he deserves a reward for his hard work, but this mindset is keeping him broke. Housing is usually the biggest expense for high earners like Bob, who often buy more house than they actually need. He is now house poor, meaning most of his income goes directly to the bank to pay for his mortgage. A fancy car is another status symbol that drains Bob's wealth through high monthly payments, insurance costs, and rapid depreciation. He is paying for the image of success while sacrificing the actual substance of his long-term financial security. Dining out frequently at five-star restaurants is a habit that Bob picked up as his salary increased over the years. What used to be a special treat has now become a daily necessity that costs him thousands of dollars. Then there are the hidden leaks in his budget, such as the dozens of monthly subscriptions he forgot he even had. Individually, they seem small, but collectively, they represent a significant portion of Bob's monthly disposable income every year. Bob's financial life is like a leaky bucket. No matter how much water he pours in, it keeps leaking out. Without fixing the holes first, increasing the flow of money will never result in a full bucket of savings. The psychological battle is real, and Bob almost always chooses instant gratification over the long-term benefits of patience. He wants the reward now, even if it means he will have to work for the rest of his life. Keeping up with the Joneses is a dangerous game that Bob is currently losing because the Joneses are also broke. He is competing with people who are also drowning in debt, creating a cycle of miserable financial competition. Credit cards provide a false sense of security, allowing Bob to buy things today with money he hasn't even earned yet. This reliance on plastic is the primary reason why his high salary never seems to stay in his pocket. High-interest debt is like a snowball rolling downhill. It starts small, but quickly grows into an unstoppable force that can crush you. Bob is currently running for his life, trying to stay ahead of the mounting interest payments. When Bob finally sits down to look at the numbers, the reality is far worse than he ever imagined. The total amount of interest he pays every year is enough to fund a very comfortable retirement for most people. Marketing companies spend billions of dollars to convince Bob that he is just one purchase away from happiness. He falls for the trap every time, thinking that a new gadget will finally make him feel truly successful. This is the irony of the high-income earner looking like $1 million on the outside while being essentially broke on the inside. Bob has all the trappings of wealth, but none of the actual freedom it provides. Time is Bob's most valuable asset, but he is trading all of it for a salary that he immediately spends on things. He is locked in a prison of his own making, where the bars are made of monthly payments. We also have to talk about taxes, which take a massive bite out of a six-figure salary before Bob even sees it. Many people forget that a $100,000 salary is significantly less after the government takes its share. Inflation is another silent killer of wealth that Bob didn't prepare for when he planned his lifestyle. The purchasing power of his dollar is shrinking every day, making his high salary feel smaller and smaller as time goes on. In many major cities, the cost of living has skyrocketed, making a high salary feel like a very average one. Bob is struggling to keep up with the rising prices of basic necessities like food, gas, and electricity. Clutter is a physical manifestation of wasted money, and Bob's house is full of it from years of impulsive shopping. Each of these items represents hours of work that Bob can never get back, now sitting useless in a dark closet. The math is simple but brutal. If you spend more than you earn, you will always be broke, regardless of your income. Bob has never mastered the basic principle of living below his means, which is the secret to wealth. Bob has no idea where his money goes because he doesn't track his expenses or use a budget. He lives in a state of financial fog, hoping that things will just work out at the end of the year. Every dollar Bob spends on junk is a dollar that could have been working for him in the stock market. He is essentially throwing away his future self's freedom for the sake of a temporary and fleeting pleasure today. The stress of being broke is taking a toll on Bob's mental health and his physical well-being. Even though he makes good money, he feels the same constant anxiety as someone earning a much lower wage in the city. It is time for a wake-up call and a total shift in perspective if Bob wants to change his destiny. He needs to realize that his current path is leading him toward a retirement spent in poverty despite his high earnings. The first step to recovery is admitting that there is a problem and taking drastic action to stop the bleeding. Bob is finally ready to break the cycle and start making choices that will lead to true financial independence. He starts by creating a strict budget that accounts for every single penny that enters his household. For the first time in his life, Bob is taking control of his money instead of letting it control his emotions. He realizes that happiness doesn't come from the size of his home or the brand of his car. Bob is learning to find joy in simple things, which allows him to save a massive portion of his high salary. By making small changes, like cooking at home and bringing his lunch to work, Bob starts to see his savings grow. These minor sacrifices are the building blocks of a much larger and more stable financial future. Bob decides to downsize his life to accelerate his journey toward wealth and total freedom from debt. It's a tough choice, but he knows that a smaller house today means a much bigger bank account tomorrow for his family. He says goodbye to the high car payments and the status symbols that were keeping him trapped in the rat race. Bob now understands that a car is just a tool to get from point A to point B efficiently. Bob builds a 6-month emergency fund to protect himself from the unexpected surprises that life often throws our way. He can finally sleep through the night, knowing that he is prepared for any financial storm that may come. Now that the debt is gone and the expenses are low, Bob can finally start the exciting process of investing. He understands that investing is like planting a tree. It takes time, but eventually it will provide shade and fruit. He discovers the magic of compound interest, which Albert Einstein famously called the eighth wonder of the world. Bob realizes that the earlier he starts, the more his money will work for him while he is busy sleeping. Investing is not about getting rich quick, it is about staying consistent and patient over many years of life. Bob is committed to the long game, focusing on his future self rather than his immediate and temporary desires. He learns about diversification to protect his wealth from market volatility and economic downturns. Bob isn't putting all his eggs in one basket, he is building a robust and resilient financial engine for his family's future. Instead of trying to pick individual stocks, Bob chooses low-cost index funds that track the overall growth of the market. This simple strategy is often more effective and less stressful than trying to beat the professional traders. He also explores real estate as a way to generate passive income and build equity over the long term. Bob is becoming a landlord, letting other people's rent payments help fund his eventual retirement and financial freedom. There is nothing quite like the feeling of receiving a dividend check for doing absolutely nothing at all. Bob's money is now working harder than he is, which was always the ultimate goal of his financial transformation. Education is the best investment Bob ever made, and he continues to learn something new every single day. He realizes that the more he knows, the less he risks when it comes to managing his growing wealth. The journey from being high-income poor to truly wealthy has been challenging but incredibly rewarding for our friend Bob. He is no longer a slave to his salary, He is now the master of his own financial destiny. It is not just the reckless spending that drains his bank account, it is also the intense pressure to keep up with his peers. Bob often feels that he must own the latest technology to be accepted by his friends. Social media has become a dangerous battleground for social status, and Bob is constantly bombarded with perfectly curated feeds showcasing apparent wealth. He forgets that these photos are often misleading and only show one side of the true financial reality. The dynamic of modern envy is destructive. Most people Bob tries to impress are themselves struggling with massive debt behind closed doors. He is competing with individuals who are essentially drowning, not building actual wealth. The "I deserve it" mindset is the single most common and dangerous justification for high earners. After a long, stressful workday, Bob often uses expensive small luxuries as a form of reward, unaware that these small habits sabotage his financial goals. For Bob, ordering luxury delivery meals every single night has become the standard rather than an occasional treat. He tells himself that his time is too valuable for cooking, but this convenience carries a very heavy ongoing financial burden. A reliable used car is practical, but doesn't offer the social validation Bob craves. He would rather spend hundreds of dollars a month on a leased luxury vehicle to maintain an image, even if it means sacrificing his potential to invest. Designer clothing is another significant financial drain that traps high earners. Bob genuinely believes a $1,000 suit is necessary for his professional reputation, ignoring that high-quality, affordable alternatives are readily available to him. One of the largest mistakes high earners make is buying an oversized, unnecessarily large house. Bob is now spending a massive portion of his paycheck on space he doesn't use, high taxes, and ongoing maintenance. Surrounding himself only with other high-income people warps his perception of what is a normal lifestyle. Bob feels constant pressure to overspend at every social gathering just to keep up with the habits of his circle. The root cause is a profound misuse of money to buy comfort and to manage daily work-related stress. This false comfort is fleeting, eventually leading back to an empty bank account and increased anxiety. Having learned the hard way, Bob decides to take control and adopt a rigid, precise budgeting strategy. He starts by dividing his income into clear, manageable categories that will define his financial future. 50% of Bob's income is now allocated strictly to essentials like housing, food, and basic utilities. He is focused on minimizing these core expenses as much as possible to maximize his disposable income. 30% of his salary is earmarked for personal wants and entertainment. Bob can still enjoy his life and hobbies, but he must stay strictly within this predefined limit to avoid the lifestyle creep that formerly ruined his budget. The most crucial 20% of his income is dedicated to saving and investing. Bob finally understands that to build lasting wealth, he must pay his future self first before spending on any current desires. For the very first time in years, Bob ensures that his primary bills and rent are covered before any personal spending is considered. He is prioritizing his fundamental stability and security over immediate pleasure. Resisting impulse purchases of new gadgets or clothes is crucial for success. By refusing these immediate desires, he is preserving his capital for investments that will eventually generate sustainable future income. Building a proper cash cushion for emergencies is an essential step. Bob prioritizes fully funding his safety net to protect himself against life's unpredictable surprises, ensuring one job loss won't destroy his progress. The easiest way to save is by making it invisible. Bob sets up an automated transfer to his investment account right on payday, so he never sees the money or feels the temptation to spend it. A budget must be a living document, not a rigid prison. Bob spends time every month reviewing his spending, adjusting his allocation based on real needs, and ensuring he remains on track to hit his targets. Finding pride in financial discipline is essential. As his savings and investments slowly grow, Bob starts feeling a powerful new sense of joy and satisfaction from making smart choices that will benefit his entire future. With the budget fixed and the savings automated, the next critical step is to deploy that capital effectively. Bob must understand the different types of investment vehicles available and how they each work to his advantage. He starts with his employer-sponsored 401k. Bob contributes enough to get the full company match, which is essentially a 100% return on his investment that he would be absolutely crazy to ignore for his retirement. Next, he opens a Roth IRA, which is a post-tax retirement account. Bob understands that the investments inside this type of account will grow entirely tax-free, and his future withdrawals will not be taxed either. Bob isn't trying to pick winner or loser stocks. He wisely decides to invest in low-cost ETFs. which allow him to buy a small piece of hundreds of different companies at once, offering excellent instant diversification. He realizes that holding too much money in cash is dangerous. Inflation is constantly eroding the purchasing power of his static savings, so he knows his capital must be invested to work harder than the inflation rate. Bob also explores physical real estate as an alternative. Owning rental properties can create passive income from tenant rent checks and build equity over the long term, further diversifying his income beyond the volatile stock market. For portfolio stability and income, he also includes some bonds in his strategy. Bonds are loans to corporations or the government that pay a predictable interest rate, acting as a valuable safety cushion during bad times. For any excess savings beyond his retirement contributions, Bob also utilizes a taxable brokerage account. This gives him extreme flexibility with his money while still allowing it to grow rather than sit idle in a bank. Bob understands that he is not trying to get rich quick with risky bets. His main focus is long-term consistency and patience, knowing that the greatest wealth is built slowly and steadily over many decades. Despite being well-read, Bob decides that he needs professional guidance to ensure his strategy is truly optimal. He meets with a certified financial advisor to build a personal plan that aligns perfectly with his unique future goals. The journey from being income-rich yet perpetually poor to truly wealthy was a profound transformation. Bob didn't just change his spending habits, he completely changed his entire mindset and his understanding of money. Bob is not just building wealth for his own benefit, he is building it to ensure a stable future for his children, hoping to give them a solid financial foundation and invaluable knowledge that he learned the hard way. Wealth is not just about accumulating numbers in a bank account. Bob now values the incredible freedom of time that his portfolio provides, allowing him to choose how he spends his precious hours instead of just working. He is actively teaching his children important lessons about savings, smart investing, and the danger of debt. Bob is working hard to break the long, damaging generational cycle of financial illiteracy that originally held him back. The American dream is not about spending every single dollar you make. It is about the freedom and security that result from smart money management, and Bob has finally found that peace of mind. This incredible transformation is possible for anyone with a good income who is willing to take control. You can stop living check to pay and start building your own solid future today. For more essential advice and strategies on money management and investing specifically for high-income earners like you, be sure to subscribe to our channel right now. We are here to help you reach your goals. Remember that the absolute key to financial success is consistent discipline over many years. It is about making small, consistent sacrifices today that will eventually lead to much larger and lasting rewards tomorrow for you. Bob has definitively proven that a strong $100 salary can indeed build significant wealth, as long as you stop trying to spend like a rich person and start trying to invest like a smart and strategic wealth builder. The path to lasting wealth is a marathon, not a quick sprint. Take the small, first critical steps today toward a better future, and you will be absolutely amazed at what you can achieve over the long term.